Hello everyone. Here we are, chapter 16, section 4. Today we're going to talk about wind energy. Now, as excited as I am about solar energy, and I really am because I think the future is amazing with it, wind energy is probably truly going to be our answer to moving to 100% renewables. Now, it'll be a long time before we're truly 100%, but we really can get there. Wind energy is going to play a key factor in this. Wind is one of the fastest growing, least expensive, and cleanest ways to produce electricity. Now, wind is an indirect form of solar energy, right? The sun heats the planet unevenly around the equator. It gets very hot, hot air rises, it then cools and it falls around the 30th parallels. As it hits the ground, it gets sucked back in or back up around the 60. So these large convection currents, our Hadley cells, if you will, along with the Earth spinning, creating the Coriolis effect, create our large wind currents. And this is the wind blowing. It's literally just molecules of air moving. So it's mechanical energy of a sort. It's mechanical energy of a sort. Kinetic energy is captured by wind turbines. Now we group turbines together in what we call a wind farm, like the picture we have back here. Now we have wind farms on land. We also have wind farms at sea. We can put them either place. All you have to do is pipe the cables into where we need the electricity. So, using the wind to produce this electricity, we use these really tall, long blade turbines so they can extract more energy out of the wind. And this is a rapidly growing power source, namely in the United States, China, and Germany. Kind of the frontier people, if you will, in this technology, but it's happening in a lot of other places. As we develop the technology and we wind up getting the technology cheaper, then other countries will be able to leapfrog the technology and start putting wind turbines in their countries as well. Also, it winds up being a form of export, right? People build them here in our countries, design them, and we can export them out to other areas. The future, however, really is in offshore wind farms. Wind power has the potential to produce 40 times the world's current electricity needs. 40 times our current need. In other words, all the power that we need right now on the planet, wind alone with wind farms and turbines could produce 40 times more than we're currently using. It's not quite limitless, but oh my goodness, it is amazing. Now, what we have, this is a really super simple version of it, is something that creates a turbine. So you can see back here, as it spins, it works in here, and I have a little teeny tiny motor rigged here, coming down into a tiny light here. Now, I'll try and move in a little bit so you can see it, but when it spins, am I spinning the right way? If I spin it the right way, you notice the little red light kicks off. So as the wind spins and moves, it generates enough electricity to turn on my light bulb. Now, this is not a really efficient system, it's super small, but it gives you an idea. Remember, electricity, we can generate electricity anytime we pass a copper wire around past a magnet. That's what we have here, a little teeny tiny generator. As long as my turbine is spinning in here, I can generate an electrical current. This is all wind farms are doing, if you will. We're just using ginormous ones like my handheld one here. Some of these things are like up to 4 and 8 school buses long, just the individual blades. That way they can spin slower, but still generate the electricity. Now, wind is abundant, it is widely distributed, and it's inexhaustible. We can't use it up. It's not like I'm going to use it here and there won't be any here, because it's this indirect solar energy, if you will. It is mostly carbon-free and pollution-free. Granted, we have to build the turbine, so there's some energy involved there in transporting the blades wherever we're getting. But once again, once they're up and running, completely pollution free. Also, we get a high net energy yield. And this is what we're after. Not medium, not low, not zero or below like hydrogen. It is a high net energy yield. The largest potential areas, however, are mostly rural. So if they're rural, we've got to be able to get the things out there, a trade-off with it. We need a smart grid. Once again, since they're rural, we don't have as many people as people living in the cities. We desperately have got to update our electrical grid in the United States. If we move to smart grids, then if the wind dies down here, it's no problem. There's wind somewhere else, and we can pipe the electricity around where we need it. There are plenty of areas in the United States that we can completely drive our power off of wind. Once again, wind doesn't always go away at night. Solar, we're generating during the day, but winds continue throughout the night and evening. We need a smart grid so we can deliver the power where it needs to go. This is one of the things of paramount importance for us to move to 100% renewable energy. It's a possibility. It more than likely is going to happen in your lifetime. Maybe not 100%, but we're going to get darn close. Now, the backup power source, once again, may be needed, but when we have a large number of wind farms in different areas, the wind's blowing off the coast of Florida here, and if the wind dies down, but out in Kansas it's still blowing, or in California. Now, usually electrical lines usually only carry electricity a few hundred miles, but we have capacitors and wires capable of carrying it literally thousands of miles. The key is this smart grid we've talked about on several different occasions. Take a look at the map of the United States back here. This is our potential for wind energy. Now, as you're looking at it, it's kind of the very bottom, the darkest color, that kind of blue or purpley color is the best. This is excellent. So off the western coast, kind of up in the middle of northern California, if you will, some of our best. All along the coastline of Alaska, excellent. All through Hawaii. Take a look all up and down our eastern seaboard. We're somewhere between, superb, outstanding, and excellent all along through there. Now, on the Gulf Coast of Florida, it's really only kind of fair because winds tend to come across. But we've got very strong currents on the eastern seaboard, and we can easily pipe the electricity across. This isn't a problem. All up in the Great Lakes, anyway, you get the idea. We've got loads of area where we can get plenty of power for the entire United States. It's just a matter of having the smart grid so we can distribute the power where it's needed, from largely some of these rural and offshore areas towards the cities. An amazing possibility is there. Well, let's look at the trade-offs, right? They're always there. Okay, what's the downside? You keep selling me all the sizzle, but what's it going to cost me? All right. Advantages: high net energy, widely available. Wind is everywhere. Now, not everywhere gets enough wind to really generate electricity, but in every country you go to, usually there are areas and pockets that you can. It's a low electricity cost. Once again, we just have the cost of the build and setup, but once that thing's up and running, maintenance of these is incredibly low. Little or no direct emissions. They're clean. They're not giving off any other air pollutants. There's no sulfates, there's no nitrates, there's no carbon. It's clean. They're easy to build and easy to expand. Kind of like solar panels. Oh, we need another one. You just add one in. We have them up in the wind farm. We can add more in as we need more power into a grid. Downside, negatives. We do have to have a backup storage system. Okay, we need to have some of the electricity to be able to go into a storage system, batteries, if you will, and when the winds die down. Winds don't always stay at a constant rate. They come and go, so we have to have a backup system. Once again, we need to be tied into a national electric grid. That's key to this really working. Otherwise, we're just getting power in this area and the people here don't have any, and they've got an excess of power and they don't have enough. We need a grid so that we can move it around. There is visual pollution, if you will. And for some people, they're out there. You can see them, right? They're spinning around, and if you don't like the looks of them, they're out there. Now, we got power lines running everywhere. We have power companies. We have coal mines. You know, you get this visual disruption, but it is a reality. They're very big, very tall, and, you know, that is a downside if you don't like the looks of them. They can kill birds if they're not properly designed and located. We're really trying to look into areas where do birds migrate, where are their flight paths, and not put these in the way of where the birds go. But, you know, people say, yeah, but they kill birds. It is true. Birds do get killed by the wind farms. However, the Science Focus 16.2 is making wind turbines safer for both the birds and the bats. Both of these do get killed from it. Now currently, wind turbines kill somewhere between 300,000 and like 800,000 birds a year. Now, that sounds like a lot. It's actually a lot less than any other human-related causes. There's a lot of things that wind up killing birds. Airplane bird hits, cars hit birds, birds run into buildings, you know. Just to say, 300,000 bats tend to die a year, 800,000. We put a lot more wind turbines out there, and there'll be more deaths. That is something that we're needing to look at. Now, new wind farms. Once again, this is what we have. The technology is just coming up and running. Things that we're doing to avoid the death of birds and bats. Avoiding the migration corridors. Initially, we were putting up wherever we could. Ooh, there's a lot of wind here, let's put it. We're realizing we can look at the migration corridors. Birds tend to fly in certain paths, and we can locate our wind farms by and large places where they're not. Once again, they can be offshore, rural areas, anywhere that we're getting enough wind. Not everywhere has enough wind, but we can still look and locate and place them in ideal locations, if you will. Slowing the turbine blade speed. We've made the windmills much larger. The blades are, some of these things are huge, massive. Once again, as long as 100 meters or more in a blade. So the blades turn much slower, and the odds of them hitting and birds killing from them is much less with a slower blade spin. Once again, we just have to have it going around and around. The larger the blade, I'm still getting a fast spin here. Slower movement on the outside, but I still get plenty of speed in here, as just the physics of it all. And once again, making sure we don't provide places for the birds to perch and nest. It's normally a lot of times the birds want to kind of perch in an area that they're getting hurt and damaged by it. Just designing them in such a way that there's no place for them to do that cuts down on the death tremendously. Guys, that is it for section 4, talking about wind energy. Come back next time and we'll talk about geothermal, tapping into the core of the earth for energy. Pretty cool.